Precious Metal Summit for inviting us here today, and thank you for being here to listen to our story. Wallbridge trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol WM. We have a diverse board of directors and management, and a lot of experience in operations, engineering, finance, as well as capital markets. We have a supportive shareholder base with Eric Sprott at about 20%, Kirkland Lake Gold at 9.8%, William Day around 7%, and institutions holding about 13.5% of the company. We closed our third quarter of 2021 with about $53 million Canadian in the treasury. And based on the fully loaded expenditures for the balance of this year, we will have about $40 million Canadian in the treasury to start our 2022 program. In terms of ESG, Wallbridge over the last many years has continued to work on our ESG principles. Although we may have not communicated very well in documents, we've been doing all the right things. We plan to issue our inaugural sustainability report early in 2022, summarizing our efforts in 2020 and 2021 and our plans moving forward. Our flagship project, Fenelon Gold, is in Quebec, Canada. Quebec is one of the most sought after jurisdictions in terms of mining and mining investments. We have great access to skilled workforce, road infrastructure, and we also have all-season road access to our site with hydroelectric power less than 20 kilometers from our site. We have the support of our surrounding communities, and more importantly, the support of our First Nation partners in terms of economic development, training opportunities, as well as employment opportunities. In terms of the company, we have a multi-million ounce deposit at Fenelon and our recently acquired Martiniere property. Our recently announced resource estimate is approximately 2.7 million ounces in the indicated category and about 1.7 million ounces in the inferred category. What's important, and I'll go a bit in more detail, is the growth potential of this current mineral resource estimate at Fenelon and also at Martiniere. And to top that, we have more than 900 square kilometers of this underexplored yet prospective land package along the Sunday Lake Deformation Zone, where on the western side, it hosts the D2 Lake mine of Kirkland Lake Gold. And we've so far demonstrated two large gold systems at Fenelon and at Martiniere. We're very optimistic that our regional exploration along this belt will also identify other deposits. We purchased a 10 square kilometer property called the Fenelon Gold property from Balmoral Resources in late 2016. At the time of the purchase, we had about 40,000 ounces of high-grade material in the Gabbro zone, and we didn't know the extent of the gold system. What we saw was a small property with lots of potential and numerous exploration targets. First, we wanted to de-risk what we had. So we continued exploration around the existing resource at the time, and we also completed a bulk sample, which enabled us to better understand the geology and mineability and the metallurgical recoveries of the Gabbro. But the best lesson from that was that we understood the geology of the gold system and the deposit at Fenelon. Late 2018, early 2019, our explorations efforts paid off. We discovered the Area 51 zone, and following up on that, we discovered the lower extensions of the Tabasco-Cayenne shear zones. During 2019 and 2020, we continued exploration drilling and successfully started to demonstrate the size potential of the Fenelon gold system. What we realized was that the original Gabbro zones, they only represented a small satellite deposit to the entire gold system. Early in 2020, we identified that the mineralization at Fenelon Gold had the potential to extend beyond the original property boundaries. As such, we acquired 100% of Balmoral Resources, which owned not only the properties around Fenelon, but more importantly, this massive land package along the Sunday Lake Deformation Zone. The results of our 2020 exploration work made us realize that the gold system at Fenelon is a combination of vein systems within this newly discovered Jeremy diorite and shear zones along the contact and within the sediments. We also recognized that the mineralization in both Area 51 and the Tabasco-Cayenne zones are not your traditional high-grade narrow veins, but rather These are zones mineralized for tens of meters wide and amenable to bulk mining. Based on the bulk mining approach, our 2021 exploration program, particularly in the first half of this year, was focused on the appropriate drill spacing to achieve a high indicated resource category at Fenelon. And I'm proud to report that we've accomplished that. More than 60% of our resource at Fenelon and both at Martiniere are in the indicated category. Our recently acquired Martiniere property is only 30 kilometers away from Fenelon. Any economic deposit there or within the DETOUR-FENELON gold trend would be complementary to Fenelon. Let me talk about the mineral resource estimate at Fenelon first. This resource estimate is the first stepping stone in developing what we believe is one of the more significant new gold discoveries in Canada. In less than 3 years, we turned the discovery into a 3.5 million ounce gold deposit. We see excellent growth potential at Fenelon, both within the current outline of the potential open pit and also in the underground portion of our resource. Within the pit, here in the southwest portion of the current pit outline, we see there is opportunities for us to add ounces. The fact that there are good drill hole and good intersections, however, the density of the drilling wasn't enough for us to be able to add that to the current mineral resource estimate. On the northwest portion of the area, we see that there's opportunities for us to sample some of the historic holes as well as the holes that we drilled, because in the past, including ourselves, we didn't sample those holes based on an open pitable type grade. We were looking for more of a high grade material. So we see a lot of opportunities for us to be able to increase the ounces, improve the grade, and reduce the stripping ratio of this current pit. In terms of expansion of the current mineral resource estimate, you can see here that the mineralization extends outside of the current pit shell towards the west. Here on the southwest portion, you can see that we're going to be able to continue with the Area 51 trends of the veins and be able to increase the mineralization. And more importantly, we already see the mineralization near the Sunday Lake Deformation Zone. There's almost 800 meters that we've limited drilling. We've identified that mineralization extends to the Sunday Lake Deformation Zone, and this could significantly increase the mineral resource estimate in our future updates. In terms of extension of the mineralization to depth and in terms of underground, there's a lot of opportunities for us to grow as well. As you can see here, towards the depth in Area 51 as well as near the open pit, we see opportunities for us to be able to add additional mineralization. There is drilling in there that shows the mineralization extends to the west, but again, the density of the drilling wasn't enough for us to be able to add in this resource estimate. Towards the east, you can see that the drilling or the mineral resource estimate is limited to the amount of drilling, and we see opportunities for us to grow this mineral resource estimate in terms of an underground portion towards the east. More importantly, this deposit has only been drilled and it's constrained by the amount of drilling that's only been done down to about 1,000 meters. We already drilled one hole earlier this year to the depth of about 15 to 1,600 meters. And we see the similar type of mineralization in Area 51 at those depths. And we see opportunities for us to be able to continue the extension of those high-grade shoots down to those depths, thereby being able to significantly add to the underground resource as well. You know, the current mineral resource estimate has estimated that the best optimized pit is down to about 650 meters based on the current available drilling information. As we continue and complete the next phase of the exploration program, we may identify the most optimal depth of the pit and be able to perhaps some of those higher grade zones that are currently at the bottom of the pit may actually potentially be part of an underground bulk mineable deposit. You know what's interesting about the Fenelon deposit is that we've always talked about the bulk mineable nature of the deposit, either in terms of an open pit and in terms of underground. But when we really saw in discussions with our consultants and ourselves, looking at the mineralization in Tabasco Cayenne and where the Area 51 converges, these are tens of meters wide, with higher grade material that are surrounded by lower grade material, perhaps in the range of 1 to 3 grams a ton. That once you've done the development into these areas, you realize that together they'll be making a bulk mineable scenario similar to some of the analogs, such as the Young-Davidson of Alamos or Gold X of Agnico Eagle. At Young-Davidson, they're currently mining 6,000 ton, and they're going to 8,000 ton a day. And grades are ranging over the past 3 years between 2.17 to 2.65 at mining costs of less than $50 a ton. So their cutoff grade is somewhere around between 1 to 1.5 grams a ton. At Goldex, they're mining at lower grades with mining costs of around $40 a ton. Our current underground bulk mineable deposit is very similar to those operations. Now let's look at the Martiniere gold system and the Martiniere deposit. We already have close to about 800,000 ounces in this resource estimate, but we see a lot of opportunities for Martiniere to be our next major gold asset. Martiniere has the potential to be able to increase the current resources by our additional drilling, and so far our drilling has demonstrated that we've been able to see the extensions of those mineralization, as it was evident in our recent press release regarding the Martiniere. This is a large deposit that's only been tested down to about 400 meters, and we see a lot of growth opportunities for this deposit as well. We believe that Fenelon and Martiniere are just the first two deposits that have been found on this large land package. Now, the distance that we have, around 97 kilometers, is equal to the distance between Val d'Or and Rouyn-Noranda, with more than 100 years of exploration and mining, and more than 100 million ounces. Our belt, Detour Lake, was discovered in 1974, and our deposits and our whole land package was really started in the 90s. And we see a lot of opportunities to add to the pipeline of the projects coming out of this underexplored land package. So to summarize, we've demonstrated two large gold systems, both at Fenelon and Martiniere, with 2.7 million ounces in the indicated category, 1.7 million ounces in the inferred category. We see significant opportunities for growth, not only at Fenelon, which could be a much larger deposit, but also at Martiniere, where we see future increases. We have a large land package, which is quite underexplored in comparison to the southern belts. And we're currently well funded with around $53 million in our treasury at September 30th. This allows us, with having $40 million at the end of the year, the flexibility to carry out our program into 2022. Thank you.